takes flight, and we're ready to work. We're ready to win. We have a strategy, and now we can begin. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. Now you are a champion. God is my witness. Imperfect perfection. Living my mission and winning. See, we are influencers. We have fear but don't stop. I have the confidence to rise to the top. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. All I need is inside of me. I am enough, and now I see. Yeah, I will reach my destiny. Yeah, I don't need your permission. Yes, I'm on a mission. I'll win. Oh, oh, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now listen, I want y'all to repeat after me, okay? Because we're going to make some declarations in here today. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. You say. I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. Say. I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see me. Say. Say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. You say, we are standing bolder, we're shoulder to shoulder. We are standing bolder, we're shoulder to shoulder. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. Hey, yeah. We have powerful words. We have powerful minds. We use our voices, and freedom takes flight. And we're ready to work. We're ready to win. We have a strategy, and now we can begin. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over.
Oh, I'm still making myself up. Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Impact the World Radio. My name is Cheryl Wood. I am your host, and I'm super excited to be here. We're in a new year. I'm still saying Happy New Year. Are you still saying
Absolutely saying Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, especially if you weren't with us last week. We had 2 phenomenal guests, and we have 2 amazing powerhouse women with us today. And every week, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on a specific question. And the question that I posed today when I posted on Facebook was this: what are your, and this means you have to personalize it, so we're sending this out to you as a challenge, really analyzing what are your biggest distractions and or threats from you achieving your goals for 2019. And I'm sure all of you have heard of what we call a SWOT analysis: your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. We want you to really focus on what are the things that are either distracting me or can potentially prevent me from getting the thing that I say I want to do. Because I don't know about y'all, but every once in a while, I find myself putting on my list the same thing over and over. And you ever happen to you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like
absolutely.
You put on your list something that you put on your list last year,
Yep.
and you find it on your list again this year. So the question is, what distracted me or prevented me from accomplishing it the previous year? So that we don't repeat that. We want to make sure that we analyze what our actions are, what our patterns are, our behaviors, and we want to align with the things that we say we really want. It's about crossing the finish line, not just getting started, but crossing the finish line. I've got to shout out all the amazing folks who are with us here on Facebook Live. We see you, Paula. Thank you for being here. Chantel Teasdale, we see you. Laditra, welcome. Andrea Crawley, Impact Nation. I see you in the building. Ingrid Love Thomas from Florida. Ingrid is actually one of my premier clients. She'll be with me for a VIP day coming in this Friday from Florida. I can't wait to see you and welcome. She's a part of our Impact Nation. Warda Roman, greetings from Belgium. Come on now. We gotta snap that
we're
up,
international.
Come
That's
on now. That's international
Yes,
right there.
yes.
Corey Wilson, we see you. Lisa Tabler, how are you? Welcome. Karonda Fleming, also a part of Impact Nation and one of my premier clients. Welcome. Let's see, Anthony Garnett, thank you. Welcome. Marcia, how are you, sis? Happy New Year. Ty Miles, how are you? Ty says, hey, Cheryl and friends. So she's saying that to all of y'all, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. Hello. Please take a moment and just share this out. We're going to have some really, really juicy content. We have two phenomenal guests. I'm going to introduce them in just a moment. But we want to make sure that we are reaching as many people as possible. And so please share this out. It only takes like 20 seconds. Hello, Sandra Shaney. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. Okay, so we got to give a shout out to two people before we jump in. Number one, y'all hear that song that we sing every week when we hear Playtime is over? Y'all know that, right? Playtime is really over.
Is.
We have got to give a huge shout out every week to Tammy Turner, who wrote that song, produced that song, performed that song. She went into the studio and did all of the work so that we could use that for our Playtime is Over Women's Business Conference. And we can't shake it. Like, it's just catchy. It gets you singing. When you really listen to the words, it is about women standing shoulder to shoulder and supporting each other as they're going to their next level. And so we have adopted that as our anthem here at Impact the World Radio. So thank you for your talent and using your unique gift to impact the world, Miss Tammy Turner. And then I also have to give a huge shout out to our partner of this show, Ladrine Peterson. Her company is Do It. Like literally turning dreamers into doers. She's all about stepping into action and being in movement. You can check her out on Facebook at Ladrine Howard Peterson. And you can also check her out online at do-it.com. I believe that's it. Yeah. And if it's wrong, believe me, she will correct me before the end of the show. Hello. So we want to thank you. Giving a shout out, yes, to Troy Carroll. Good morning, tribe. That's my Impact Nation tribe. They are in the building. Sandra says, hey, ladies, Ruth Lawson is here. Bernadette, another Impact Nation member. Thank you for being here. So my first guest, her name is Dee. Is it Bowden?
It is Bowden.
Okay, I'll be jacking people's names up. You know that, right?
I do know that.
I own my mess. I own my mess.
But listen, we're not going to jack it up today.
We're not going to jack it up. We're going to pronounce it correctly.
We got it.
Dee Bowden.
Yes, ma'am.
So let me tell you who she is. She is an award-winning business consultant and the founder of BCS Solutions. That's a revenue recovery consulting business designed to help small businesses make big money impacts. I like that. Anything that say big money, I like.
Yeah,
she
too.
was recognized by the USCG headquarters and Iramax Inc. in 2016 for returning $7.5 million back to the federal government in 1 year. She has a Bachelor of Science degree from American International College and a Master of Management degree from Cambridge College. In 2018, she served as a digital facilitator at the Success Women's Conference 2018 in Biloxi, Mississippi, and presented the topic, How Secure Is Your Cash Flow? In her personal life, she loves jazz, hot air balloon rides, and Ferris wheels. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I don't know about the hot air balloon rides, but we talk about that later. So how secure is your cash flow? Why is that so important for small business owners? And what is it that you do specifically to help them to keep an eye on their accounts receivables?
Well, first of all, before we even jump into all of that, I want to say thank you for this opportunity. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Everybody who's watching. Hey, y'all. So we get all that out there.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all. So BCS Solutions, how do we actually make sure their cash flow is secure as a business owner? Number one, here's the thing. It kind of starts like this. As a business owner, you're responsible for selling whatever your product or service is. And then once you do that, what people get super excited about, they get, oh, I made all these great sales. But what they forget is that the sale is not complete until the money is actually in the bank. And so I think I'll answer that question if you don't mind by telling a short story.
Sure. We love stories.
Okay. So about 10 plus years ago, I worked for a company called Amherst Technologies. They were a small IT firm that sold IT services, software licenses, etc. I got hired to recover $8.8 million in sales that had been done, but the money wasn't in the bank. So you can imagine, I'm looking at this saying, $8 million in sales? Are you serious? And y'all have not collected out a dime? How did that happen? So what happened was basically the sales were done, But the follow-up, which is where I come in, never happened. So they sold the services, but they never collected the money. So in 60 days, I did $6 million.
Wow.
Part-time.
Okay, but let's pause.
Yes, ma'am.
See, as a small business owner, I don't get that it's sold, but the money ain't in the bank. Like,
Right.
That's the first thing I'm checking is my bank account. So how does that happen for a small business owner? How does that happen for any company?
Well, how it happens
A
is...
big company I get,
Right.
but a small business, how does that happen where the sale was made, but the money's not there? Unless it's like a net 30 days
Well,
or
here's the
something.
thing.
and
What
you're waiting for
happens,
money.
it happens like this, because think about it. You're super excited to sell your product or your service. So you sell it, and then you go on to the next thing, because you're banking on the fact that the transaction went through and that the money's eventually going to show up. So whether you're a small, medium, or large business, I talk about how secure is your cash flow, because it's very important for you to recognize, number one, please make your sale. Please sell your brilliance. Definitely do that. But don't forget to also make sure that you should have your state of your flux. You should know how many contracts you have. You should know the amount of invoices that you have. You should know whether this invoice is coming in net 30, net 60, net 90, or 120.
Right.
If you're past 60 days, it ought to be triggering a bell for you to get on the phone and say,
Right.
hi, I'm Dee from
Right.
BCS Solutions. I need to find out what's going on with my invoices, and more importantly, is there a disconnect, and how do I fix it so this doesn't happen again? Part of the reasons why a lot of companies have these cash flow issues is because they're not doing the follow-up. They're so excited about the front end, but it's the back end that's what makes it more successful. And that's the piece, that's why I kind of raised the conversation about how secure is your cash flow, is because you can sell all day long, but sale is not complete until the money is actually in the bank.
Yeah.
And you know that. And here's the thing, you also need to understand that collections, although most people think about collections in the sense of, oh my gosh, it's like the IRS, somebody's gonna break your knees, that kind of stuff. And everybody's trying, this is not that party, I promise y'all.
coming to crack
This
your
is not
knees.
that kind of party, I promise y'all, that's not it. But here's the thing, collections in the business world is an extension of customer service. That's how I see it.
Did y'all hear that? I like the way you framed that. Repeat that again.
Collection.
Somebody type that in the feed. This is good. Listen
Thank
to
you.
this.
Collections is considered a part of customer service.
It's a part of customer service. When you look at it that way, it really does give it a different angle.
Exactly. And that's what makes it different. And so with that, I'm on a campaign, if you will. And so, of course, again, thanks for this opportunity to share this. But I'm on a campaign to talk about collections, accounts receivable, cash management, cash flow, so that small businesses don't go out of business. So the part of the story I didn't get to finish telling your audience was this. So Amherst Technologies was a small IT firm. They gave me the $8 million to collect. I did 6 in 60 days. We went out of business 2 months before Christmas. CEO comes downstairs and says, hey, y'all, I want to thank you for your service. Appreciate everything you did, but we're done. If you Google them right now, Amherst Technology, Merrimack, New Hampshire, the logo comes up. They are out of business. And from that day to this, I've been on a personal mission to understand collections, government receivables, and to talk to small business owners to not end up like that company. So that was personal for me. It's been personal for me. And that's what drives me to keep talking about, please know the state of your flux. Please know what's going on with your accounts receivable. Please, not just sell, but make sure your money's coming in the bank. And if you're having disconnects, don't bury your head in the sand. Ask the questions.
Yeah, you guys
Ask
hear
the
that?
questions.
Ask the questions. Don't bury your head in the sand. You don't want to run from it just because you don't understand it or it's uncomfortable for you.
Right.
Because a lot of us do view collections in the opposite way, right?
Absolutely.
That it has a negative connotation. But
Exactly.
as you mentioned, it's really just a part of the customer service cycle, making sure that the money makes it to the bank. So I really like that viewpoint of it.
Thank you.
So let me ask this question then.
Sure.
So I get the whole, okay, if it's net 30, net 60, net 90, whatever, and you're making sure that it makes it to the bank. Do you also deal with collections in terms of people who have not remitted their payment?
Absolutely.
And you just, look, I need that payment.
Right.
And do you help small businesses
Absolutely.
from that perspective?
I absolutely do.
So let's start there, and then I have a follow-up question.
Okay. So to the small business community that's listening, yes. Here's the thing. When you sell your product or your service, you're expecting to get paid. You do your presentation, however it goes. You're expecting to do your service, do your product, submit your service, bill, get paid. When you reach your contract, it tells you your invoices should be submitted on a certain time and you should be paid at a certain time. And once it passes that deadline, you should be on the phone asking for what's the disconnect. The disconnect is this: it's usually something happened in sales, something happened in accounts payable, something happened in receivables, or something happened in the contract world. Whether you're a solopreneur, a large corporation, it doesn't matter. It's the same for things that happen all the time. And what I think small businesses are worried about are the relationships, because it takes a lot to get the relationship to actually get the people to buy your product or your service. So you don't, like, for example, if I had come in here and had been like, I'm just on the show, as opposed to, hey, Miss Cheryl, thank you so much for this opportunity. thank you for this, et cetera, it's a different response. Well, the same thing with the person who does the sale. They're concerned about if I start to, be aggressive about asking you for my money, then it could irritate you, as opposed to, you are in business to make money. I don't know what everybody else goes into business for, but I went into business to make money.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you did too.
I didn't call it a charity.
It's
not Cheryl Wood and Powell's charity. No,
it's a business. Exactly.
It's a business,
so I expect to get paid for my service.
Right.
But here's the thing: the relationship that you have to build in order to sell your product or service is important, but also to collect your money is just as important.
Yeah, but I think also that's where you come into play, and and I want to talk about whether or not there might be some business owners who feel like, well, I need the service, but can I really afford to hire someone who is going to collect on behalf of my company? Because let's talk about a solopreneur.
Sure.
A solopreneur who might be a one-woman show, one-man show, and they feel like, oh, I can't afford. But really, when you think about it, you can't afford not to, because you need to collect on the funds, the sales that you have closed.
Right.
So to that person who is thinking, well, I can't, I'm not able to hire this person, hire your company.
Right.
What do you say to that person? Do you have special packages for small businesses versus a company that's making $8 million, $9 million, $10 million or more dollars? I think that's my first question.
All right. So yes, the answer to that, yes, there are. First of all, you can't afford not to get your money. Let's just start there.
Right.
So here's the thing: BCS Solutions offers consulting. We offer packages. We can do several things. We can do in-house collections if you need help. I can actually train you how to actually effectively collect on your own. Because ideally, my goal is not necessarily have to go do the collections for you. My goal is to teach you how to do it for yourself so you can do it successfully from here on in.
But I like the fact that they can hire you, because then, see, here's what I found early on in my business. I had to interrupt the relationship between I'm just a nice woman in business who you feel like is your friend versus, look, you need to pay me my money.
Right.
So I had to pull myself out of that whole equation of collection, any type of accounts receivable, I pull myself out of.
Right.
Because people feel more comfortable when they feel like, oh, it's just Cheryl. I can just ask her, oh, can I push my payment back?
Right.
Or I'm not gonna have my payment for another 30 days or
Right.
60 days. But when they feel like they're working with a company here or a department, here's my accounts receivable department head, they're gonna be reaching out to you. Then it removes you from the equation and that uncomfortable feeling of feeling like I'm gonna mess up or interfere with relationships. So for me, it's just pulling myself completely out of the money aspect in terms of any type of collection. So in that case, I feel like it would be a great benefit to a small business owner.
And to the small business owners that are listening, if you need that service, I mean, I'll give you, of course, I do it now. The website is www.bcsconsultinggrp.com. That's www.bcsconsultinggrp.com. You can schedule an appointment, for a review of your accounts. We can talk about what happened, because basically when you're past 30 or 60 days, that's what I call a disconnect, because by then you should know what happened. And if you don't know, even though you might be afraid about messing up the relationship, don't be afraid of messing up the relationship. Go get your money. And if you need help, that's where BCS Solutions can help you with, because we understand how important relationships are, number one. Number two, we understand that if you're a small business, like let's look at this right now. There's a government shutdown. Yeah. Let's take it where it is. Yeah. There are government shutdown. There are government contractors that are not getting paid, and they're struggling and they're stressed. And so that's where the rubber meets the road about, okay, what do you do when you're not going to get paid? Right. If you're a government contractor, you've got to figure out, okay, I can't build the government. The government's not working. I can't get paid. How am I going to handle this? Well, you've got to be able to figure out, how do I plan for the future right now? Because right now I'm used to getting my money every 30 days. And the government says, well, we're 25 days out. Can't promise y'all are getting paid, because they're going to take care of them first. Right. Then the government takes care of the contractors. And so the government takes care of the government. Then the government agencies work with the contractors, and the contractors prayerfully will get paid. There's no promise of that, though. Y'all understand that. Even if you are a business, there is no promise that you're going to get paid. So the reason I keep talking about how secure is your cash flow is that you have to be thinking about, okay, if this happens again, what am I going to do? That's serious.
So then, are there certain steps that you feel that you share with small businesses of, like, can you give us one or two steps of things they can do to put themselves on that path of having that secure cash flow now?
Right. Well, the first thing you can do, number one, is you ought to have a list of all your accounts. That would be number one. You should have a list of every
Y'all need
account.
to be jotting this down,
Jot
Facebook
this
Live. Come
Write
on
this
now.
down.
Number one. What is number one?
Number one, have a list of all of your accounts. You
Have a
should
list of
know
all your accounts, yeah.
accounts. Number two, you should have a list of all of your invoices. Number three, you should know how much the invoice is worth. Number four, you should know the salesperson, the person who sold on behalf of your company and the person that you sold it to.
Right.
Why? Because that relationship is very important. People look at collections and they keep thinking, oh, I'm just going to call up and dial for dollars. No, it's like I said earlier, it's a relationship. And if you're struggling getting your money, if you're a small business, medium or large, it doesn't matter. Somebody is still selling. And that's the thing I want people to understand is that the salesperson has the relationship because they already did the presentation to get you in.
Right.
Your relationship with them is very important. And then, of course, whoever's doing your billing is very important, and the person who's collecting is very important. And don't forget the contracts person because they're the person that holds it all together.
Well, and that brings me to another thought in terms of if you have someone who, you have a sales team, right? And then, so let's say you didn't collect on whatever the payment was. How does that salesperson collect their commission on something that hasn't been paid? Like, do you address that? Do you deal with that? How should people handle that?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, the way I look at it is this. I don't think a salesperson who has not made sure the sales go through, I don't think you should get your bonus.
Come on now. Amen. Hallelujah.
You should not get that.
If I ain't get the coins, you ain't getting your coin.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important that AR and sales work together. That's the connection. Because here's the thing: you can sell and do phenomenal all day, but like I said in the beginning of the conversation, if the money isn't in the bank, that's a problem. And why should you as a salesperson get your commission before the company gets its pay? Come on,
I'm so glad a professional said that because there are some salespeople out here who are cray-cray. I think they cray-cray. You think you're gonna get your money and I ain't get the money yet? It just don't work. Not for me. It doesn't work like that for me. Like you have to complete the full transaction, which means the funds are in the bank account.
Absolutely.
Once the funds are in the bank account, then you will get your payout. That's just how it works. But I do know a lot of salespeople who don't work from that model, from that business model, and that's that's good for them. But you have to know what works for you and your business. And I'll tell you, I'll give an example. So I did a conference. I hired someone to be the sales captain, sales team, whatever, and that person there was a certain percentage that the person was going to earn of all the sales. And so the person had it in the contract, and this is before I knew what I knew.
Right.
And the person had it in their contract where they would get their percentage automatically.
Right.
But people have buyer's remorse.
Absolutely.
And sometimes they all hyping in the moment and saying yes, and then they get back and look at their finances and they're like, oh no, what their husband say, this ain't gonna happen or whatever.
Right.
And now that person had the buyer's remorse, and for me, I always give people that 3-day right of refusal to come back and decide that they change their mind.
Right.
I think that we should honor that, right? So I always honor that. But now I've paid out on a commission on a sale that didn't make it to the bank.
Now, see, you have just confirmed what
I'm with you. We here eye to eye. I'm just trying to tell you.
Yes.
And so from that point forward, I learned how to negotiate differently with people who are on my sales team when I'm doing a conference, when I'm doing a live event. Anybody who's dealing with my money or you're selling on my behalf, my contract is very specific about what you get paid, how you get paid, and when you get paid. And it all is based on that sale crossing the finish line.
Right. So thank you, Ms. Cheryl, for confirming.
Like I'm in your corner.
I love it. And because because the funny thing is I've been saying that all along. And a lot of people are like, why do you keep talking about that? Because people think it's just sales. I'm like, no, it's sales, it's AP, it's AR, and it's the contract. And the contract rules all of it.
Yeah.
And if you don't take care of your business first, then you will be stuck.
Yeah.
So when I was sharing earlier about the story about the company that went out of business, there was another story I'll share is this. There's another IT firm. I happen to like IT seems to be my field, so I like IT. But there was another IT firm that I worked with, and they had a team of collectors, and they had salespeople, and so they had 5 people that collected. That company was owed $45 million. This is a true story. I know. But listen, to y'all small business owners, don't trip about the large dollar because the principles are still the same.
Yeah.
5 people. The CFO said, we don't understand what the disconnects are. Well, what happened was they gave them these accounts, but no one ever showed them how do you actually do this? How do you actually collect? So, for example, one of the gentlemen that I worked with had government accounts. Government accounts are different commercial accounts. There's a whole language and acronyms and all that stuff. Boyfriend didn't know what to do. So what I did, I created what's called a collections roundtable. Like we're sitting here talking, we sat down, bring me all your accounts, show me what you've done, what's happened. And I said, who's the salesperson? He's like, I don't know. Ding, 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 ding. Step one.
First red flag.
First red flag. We're going to get the salesperson who sold this software license to help you in the government space untangle the disconnect. And that's what I call the disconnect. The disconnect is basically untangling what is it that's not allowing your money to come to you. Guess what? After we did that, I'm happy to report, 75% of the $45 million was collected, number one. Number two, that company has never been in the red since.
I love it. See, that's how you know you're working with a pro. You know what I'm saying? She's getting results. She's not just talking about it. She is getting results for her clients. And so I want to go back because, well, first of all, everybody's chiming in. Everybody's saying yes, yes,
hey,
yes, absolutely. Great. Bernadette says great information. Nika said preach. Rhonda said yes, hashtag facts. Yes. Hi, Christy Rutherford. Thanks for being here. Karanda says, yes, be specific after the money hits the bank. Someone said, yes, cross the finish line. Make sure the deposit is made first. We also want to welcome Veronica Dreas for being here, Robin Williamson, Dorisa Harvey, Renee, how are you? Good to see you. Shantae Hawkins, Candace Arnold from California. Just talked to her this morning. Sheena Robinson, Jamie Brown. Thank you guys for being here. Please make sure that you share this out. This is a juicy conversation for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, micropreneurs. Like, it's all applicable. It's not just the big companies that are making millions and millions of dollars. You as a small business owner are also responsible for protecting what's coming in to your business and the accounts receivable. So I love the conversation. You were giving us some tips, and then we went off on a deep end somewhere else. So I think, so let's try to go back to a couple. I like to give people like 1 or 2 or 3 tips that they can use to actually get started in terms of aligning themselves with where they need to be. So number 1, I think you said was know
the state of your funds.
Yes.
Basically, have all your contracts.
Have all your know your stuff.
Right, exactly.
Have all your contracts. Know all your clients. Know who the salesperson was.
And your invoices, you should know that. And
knowing all the invoices.
And you should know how much money is expected. So basically, if you sold something for $10,000 and it lasts for 10 months, that means basically you're invoicing for a certain amount every single month. You should know how much is going to be billed and how much is going to come in. And it should be a reminder that says, okay, if this doesn't come in by this date, I need to be on the phone, or I need to send an email. I know we live in a world where everybody loves 144 characters. I'm old school. I like to get on the phone. I'm going to call you.
Phone calls will get it. I'm telling you, phone calls will get the money.
And let me tell you something about that. Everything that I've shared about the success I've had, it's been 2 ways, a phone call and an email. I have never, except one time, met any of the people I've ever collected the money from. But I have to build relationships. So if I was going to give them a key point, number 1, yes, do with the technical piece. Do your contracts, your AP, your invoices, the dates that are due. Build the relationships. Something called gratitude does amazing things. My bracelet right here says grateful. You know why? Because that's how God has used me to change the collections game. I show gratitude. I express gratitude. People think, oh, that's so corny. No, actually, it's not.
Okay, so explain that. So break that down. What does that really mean? Okay. How has gratitude, how has that changed the game?
How it changed the game is this. If I call you and I'm calling you on behalf of my company and I need to talk to your accounts payable person about my invoice, if I say thank you for, number 1, taking my call, number 2, actually doing the actual research to go figure out how come I'm not getting paid, and then how about this? How about you actually make sure that I get paid? Me coming back and saying thank you is life-changing, because guess what? The next time I have another problem with my invoice or anything else, you're going to remember that I was kind and I thanked you for your service and recognized you as another person who's in business just like me, and I show you respect. You're going to go out of your way to help me. Okay. Just that.
I like that. So, I mean, I never argue with the word grateful, because we got to have that as a part of our daily life, our daily businesses. Everything should be founded on a spirit of gratitude. So I like that. I like that approach. All right. So as we start to wrap up, because we have another amazing guest who's waiting in the wings for us, and we're waiting for her. So I understand that you are going to be doing some speaking all across the country. Looks like you're going to be at the Run Women's Global Conference at the AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, well, actually, Dr. Cassandra Bradford is actually hosting that conference, and so yes, I'm supposed to be one of the speakers in Dallas in July.
Fantastic.
Thank you. I'm also going to be one of the speakers at Sip and Chat Experience, which is doing some happy hours around the country. And Oh, I'm also going to be a part of Women of Impact. We're going to have 5 conferences around the country, and I'll be one of the virtual speakers doing the same conversation. How secure is your cash flow? Talking about your cash flow. Talking about your money. Talking about your money.
Just you consistent. You're like, this is my expertise, and this is how I'm going to impact the world with this unique expertise. Well, I love it. I love everything that you're doing. I love that you're opening up the conversation.
Thank you.
It's not a conversation that we hear often,
right?
And so I love that you are kind of breaking that barrier of people opening up, even small business owners, to really be cognizant of what is your accounts receivable. What does it really look like? Do you really know what you're owed? And you're making the sale, but is it making it to the bank? I'll never forget that. Like, I always remember that.
Yes.
Like, that's a cute little tagline. You made the sale, but did it make it to the bank? Right?
Exactly. Yep. Hashtag make it to the bank.
Hashtag make it. Hashtag, come on, y'all. We're going to use that.
Hashtag make it to the bank.
We need our coin to make it to the bank.
Make it to the bank.
Keep up the great work. How can people, one more time, reach out with you on social media, as well as any other way that they can connect with you?
All right, perfect. Well, first of all, again, Ms. Cheryl, thank you so much for this.
Absolutely.
So to the listeners, on my website, www.bcsconsultinggrp.com, that's www.bcsconsultinggrp.com, there's a free download. It's called 5 Strategies to Successfully Collect Your Money. So that's a free PDF. You can learn my philosophy, which is basically set a goal, write it down, affirm it, show gratitude, and then my favorite thing, celebrate. Raise a glass somewhere and say thank you.
I love it. I love it, y'all. BCS Consulting Group, GRP.com, and connect with her on social media. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back with our next dynamic guest. I ain't even going to tell you who it is. It's so juicy, you got to just stick around. We'll be right back.
We have powerful words, we have powerful minds. We use our voices and freedom takes flight. And we're ready to work, we're ready to win. We have a strategy and now we can begin. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Time is over. Now you are a champion. God is my witness. Imperfect perfection. Living my mission and winning. See, we are influencers. We have fear but don't stop. I have the confidence to rise to the top. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over. Playtime is over. All I need is inside of me. I am enough and now I see. Yeah, I will reach my destiny. Yeah, I don't need your permission. Yes, I'm on a mission. I'll win. Now listen, I want y'all to repeat after me, okay? Because we're going to make some declarations in here today. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. You say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see. Say, I'm building my legacy for the whole world to see me. Say, oh.
Y'all, that was some really, really good content. I'm telling you, if you don't know, you better go back and listen to the replay with Dee Bowden, because that was some powerful stuff. And like I said, she's breaking through and having conversations that really right now aren't being held consistently. And she can help cut the learning curve for so many small business owners who honestly, they're getting ripped off. I'm just saying. Before I introduce my next guest, I have got to celebrate 23 phenomenal women who co-authored this book, Women Inspiring Nations, Volume 2. Whoop,
Congratulations.
Yes. And I'm so tickled for these ladies because a lot of them, this is their very first time writing their story. It's their very first time openly talking about their truth, and to put it in writing, like not just verbally articulated, but to put it in writing is a powerful thing, because I always tell people, when you share your story in writing, that thing in writing, that will long outlive your physical body. That's something you can pass on to your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, and it goes on and on for generations to come when you tell your truth in your story. Yes. So just huge congratulations. Again, this is volume 2. We did volume 1 last January. Now we have 23 more co-authors who have joined this anthology. They are fired up. And I have to give a huge shout out as well to Karen Arrington, who wrote the foreword for this book. If you don't know her, Google her, Karen Arrington. She is a powerhouse woman. She actually is the founder of Miss Black USA. But so much bigger, I don't want to say bigger, like that's not important, but even equally as powerful as that, she's also an ambassador for Sierra Leone. She's an ambassador for Gambia, and she is making so much impact in the world, serving and supporting women, elevating women all across the country, all across the world. So thank you for saying yes to being a part of our project. She came out to the book launch event this past Saturday, and I thought she was going to stay for an hour or so. No, she stayed the whole time and did not want to leave. She enjoyed herself so much, and so did everybody else and all the attendees. So again, huge congratulations to all the co-authors.
Yes.
All right. We've been waiting. Drum roll. Drum roll. For this next guest, we have known each other for quite some time, primarily through social media.
Yes, exactly.
And I see you, you see me. You ain't nothing like two sisters that see each other and just are doing their God-given gift, right? And that's how I see you. Her name is Dr. Tashika L. Green. She's a transformational servant leader who leads with the heart of a servant, but the mind of a leader. She views leadership not just as a job or a career, but as a calling with a greater purpose. Dr. Green is a transformational leader, educator, inspirational speaker, coach, author, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. She's the president, founder, and chief executive officer of To Everything There Is a Season.
Yes.
Get fired up about that, right? That's just juicy. To Everything There Is a Season, Inc., which comprises the following entities: the Deborah C. Offer Bolgen Business and Leadership Development Institute, To Everything There Is a Season Publishing, the Deborah C. Offer Bolgen Memorial Foundation, Inc., and the Women of Virtue Walking in Excellence Awards. With a purpose-driven mindset, she works tirelessly to ensure that all people she meets reach their maximum potential. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Cheryl.
It's
so
great.
To
I know it's so great to connect and be here with a woman of like mind. So here's what I know. I know that everything that I see about you on social media is always positive. It's uplifting. It's about elevating other people, including women. I know that in your Walking in Excellence Awards, Virtual Walking in Excellence Awards, that you honored one of my good friends, Peggy Morris.
Yes.
Me and Peggy, that's my mama. That's my second mama.
Peggy's everybody's mama.
She is amazing. She was one of those women who supported me when I didn't even see greatness in myself.
Right.
She goes back to when I first started, when I was selling T-shirts.
Okay.
I hadn't even started speaking yet. I didn't know what my gifting was. I didn't know what my calling was. And so I was just trying to interrupt my norm.
Right.
And so I started with this mommy T-shirt business, and I would go out and I would vend and I would sell. And then I finally wrote a book, like an empowerment book. And she used to have me come into Sisters for Sisters Network Incorporated, and she would always make it the meeting about my book.
Exactly.
And it would be one of the tips. So she has been one of my biggest supporters, and I just love her dearly. So I was speaking somewhere the day of the event that you did.
Okay.
So I wasn't able to attend, but I was cheering.
Yes.
So I'm big on cheering for other sisters. Even when you don't see me, I'm cheering. I got my pom-poms.
Yeah.
So how did you get started? Like, where did this stem from, this desire to be able to elevate, help other people find their why and their purpose?
Right. So first, again, thank you, Cheryl, for having me. I'm so excited to be here and everything, to be with you at this platform. But it all started in 2010. So my mother, Deborah Bolgen, who a lot of the different entities are named after, she passed away in 2010 with stage 4 stomach cancer. She was 53 years old.
Wow.
She was diagnosed, and 30 days later she had passed away. She had never been sick, didn't have symptoms that led to the stomach cancer. And also in that time I was 7 months pregnant as well with my daughter, who is now 8 years old.
My goodness.
And so, I tell the story that they didn't tell me everything because they were trying to protect me while I was pregnant and not go into, miscarriage or early labor. So they were telling me parts, but inside I knew it was more than just, a temporary thing. Like, this is serious.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, when it came to the final stages, she was actually called called into the hospital on a Friday. I was called into hospital on that Friday, and within the 3 days she had transitioned. And the time when she was there, she literally said, call everybody I know, tell them to come here. I have something to tell them. And the oncology ward said, we have never seen so many people in our life at one time on this ward. And so I always say my mother preached a message of love before she left the earth. And so in that moment, she actually said, okay, now I need everybody to leave and I just need to speak to you. And so when I went into the room, she said, why me? You know, she was being strong, showing a message of love. And her message of love was, if I ever said anything or did anything that hurt you, I'm sorry. I loved you. And so then she called me in and she said, well, why me? And I'm thinking, okay, I have to be strong. I got to be a big girl. And so I started to talk and said, because you're beautiful in God's eyes. You're chosen, and he's calling you back because he wants to hold you. I'm just saying these things to her. And then she asked me, did I do a good job? And I said, did you do a good job? And she said, did I do a good job in preparing you for the woman that you are? And I said, you did a great job. And so we began to speak, and then I realized that she was actually passing this mantle of what she did, because she was a phenomenal woman. I mean, she was virtuous, she was scholarly, she helped, she served, she nurtured. If you needed anything, they would go to Deborah, because they knew Deborah could find the answer. So I realized in that moment, she's about to leave. And everything that she had, she was passing it on to me to carry on. And so within that moment, I had to be a big girl. I had to pick up that mantle, and I had to seriously run with urgency and help other people to identify those things that's already inside of them, because I can't tell you your purpose. You can only find that when you're in your isolated, quiet time, your meditation time, and hearing the voice of God. He can he has that purpose because he conceived that in his thought when he made you. I always say that your purpose was conceived in the mind of God. Your mom was just the vessel to birth it, and you need to walk in it. And so from that point on, I was in such an urgency to really help people to maximize those gifts, those talents, those skill sets on the inside of them, for them to walk in it. We should not be 40 and 42 and still saying, I don't know my purpose. You know, we don't have time. And that showed me that we don't have time, because my mother still had so much she needed to do, and she knew I couldn't do this. So I'm going to pass this to you. And I tell you, Cheryl, from that moment, I have just been doing everything I can to help people, to uplift, to serve, to support, to love people to greatness.
I love that. Such a powerful story. So your mom passed in 2010.
Yes.
So my dad passed in 2009.
Okay.
It was on Thanksgiving Day.
Okay.
And that was the first phone call that I got. He was 59 years old.
Okay.
And he passed of a massive heart attack in his sleep. So very similar. I didn't get to have the conversation with him before he transitioned. But I was there the moment that they closed my father in a body bag. It's a visual I'll never forget. And all I remember was after the funeral, his sisters started telling us more and more about my father and who he was. Because my father had a difficult past.
Okay.
I knew him as a man who suffered with his own demons. I think we all do. Suffered from alcoholism.
Okay.
And that's the life that I lived with him growing up. And so I had my own perception or concept of who he was. And then once he passed, his sisters started telling us more about who this man really was. And my thought was, wow, he never told his story.
Right.
And that's why I'm so passionate about empowering women and men to tell their story, because one of two things will happen. If you don't, it won't get told at all.
Exactly.
Which is your legacy.
Exactly.
Or number two, it'll get told from someone else's perspective, and that's not fair to the world.
Exactly.
That your story gets told from somebody else's perspective. So very similar in terms of losing someone and that elevating our cause.
Exactly.
And kind of having that mantle passed down. So very, very powerful. And I love that you were willing to accept receiving the mantle, because how many women do you know that feel the nudge, feel the tugging? God is trying to tell them this is your calling, but they keep ignoring it or putting it on the back burner. Talk about what you see in your experience of working with women, and how do we move beyond thinking I'm not good enough. God, that can't possibly be my calling. You can't be telling me to come to the front. I'm an introvert, or whatever the excuse is that we're creating. Speak to that.
So what I realize is that somebody's waiting for my finish so they can get started.
Absolutely.
And so if I never start what I was called to do, I could be holding somebody else up, because your purpose is not about you. It's bigger than you. It's about somebody else. You are somebody's answer. You are somebody's resource. You are somebody's yes. And so they're waiting for you. So while you're sitting there, you're holding yourself up, and that next person, and that next person, and that next person, and think of that impact that you're having in the negative that you could have in the positive if you just step up and say, I can do this, you know. And for me, it all had to start with the mind, like shifting the mind and what I was thinking. I just said this the other day, that your life reflects your thoughts. And so if I'm thinking that I can do this, then my life should start looking like it. But if I'm thinking I can't, then it's going to look like that I can't. So what are you thinking? How are you stretching the elasticity of your mind so that you're not focused in the moment, but you're focusing on the promise and what you're becoming?
Absolutely. Who are you becoming?
Exactly.
And what are you willing to put in to help that person manifest, to help that person to show up? I mean, and look, the reality is that, and this is my reality. My reality and my truth is that along the way, there were a lot of fears that I had. And growing up in poverty, I felt like I wasn't good enough. Not having a college degree, I thought I wasn't qualified. Who's going to listen to me? Who's going to book me to be on their stage? Who's going to pay me $10,000 to come and give a keynote speech? Like, literally, I held myself hostage in that space for such a long time, partially because I had never been taught how to shift my mindset and my thought process. So I didn't even know what that looked like. I didn't know what affirmations looked like. I didn't know what a vision board looked like, because I didn't grow up in that environment. But secondarily, because I also wasn't surrounded by people who had that type of thinking, elevated thinking, and abundance thinking. So they couldn't even rub off on me, because I wasn't in there in the circle of people who were positive thinkers and doers. So you have to be very cognizant of, yes, how are you thinking? Are you shifting your thoughts to be positive? Are you thinking to yourself, I can't? Because if you, like you said, if you think you can't, you won't. If you think you can, you will.
You will.
And you'll find a way, right? It's amazing how you find a way. For me, a big part of it was just getting started, even without all the answers. So talk to the woman who's watching now and like, oh, I'm fired up, I'm feeling it, I love it. But then when this is over, she'll be like, girl, I don't even know what to do next.
Exactly.
What is like the first few steps or the next step that someone who is feeling the tugging on them and they're getting that, they're doing that meditation and they're receiving kind of that download from God about what their purpose is, but they're just like, I'm not quite sure how to start or where to start, or I don't have the full blueprint.
Right.
What are some steps that they could take?
So I always say, be anxious for nothing, first of all. You know, you start to get excited and you want to just leave out of the gate and just start running. No, you're going to have to slow down. In the midst of you doing that, it's going to be a lot of assessment and adjustment that's going to be taking place.
Right. I like that. Assessment and adjustment. Y'all, somebody type that in the feed, please. Somebody, assessment and adjustment. Assessment and adjustment. I like that.
Exactly. So with that being said, once you do get, you're in that quiet space and you're hearing those things. Now, have you truly, and I think you already said this, Cheryl, have you truly developed your vision, but not only your vision, your mission? Because your mission is really your purpose. Your vision is what you want to become, but your mission is your purpose and how you're going to go about that. And so we have so many things, like I said, we're not busy people. I always say we're business people and purposeful business people, because you could be busy, but you really won't even be productive. You're just keeping yourself movement because you're really making it a distraction against other things.
Too funny. I just did a call yesterday. So I have this group called Impact Nation, and that was what the call was about yesterday. It was mindless productivity. Mindless productivity. I got to be doing something. I'm scurrying from task to task, to thing to thing. I look like I'm so busy, but you're not productive. So yeah, we're so on the same page.
Exactly. See, I learned from you.
Great minds think alike. That's what they say.
And so when you look at that, what are your intentions? Why are you doing it? And, are you doing it? And I say this, Cheryl, because sometimes we lose focus because we look at other things and we're not looking at us. It's not the other things. You need to look at yourself and why you are becoming you. Why are you doing the things you're doing? Why do you want to help? Why do you want to serve? Why do you want to start a financial business or impact the world? Why? What is the real mission and purpose for you to do that? And so after you hear what it is you are supposed to be doing, then identify your vision and your mission. And then after that, then start to say, what are some of those, and I say the systems that I need to put in place, those structures, and the resources that are needed. And most of the time, the biggest fear is the resources, that you think, I don't have the money to do this, or I can't do this. And so, again, going back to thinking, if you say it, that's what's going to happen.
Exactly.
It's your word is going to take form, and that's what's going to happen. So start saying, I have the resources. I have the people in my group that I need to network with, and all those things, and move forward. And I simply always, so I love words, right? And being an educator, I love words. So when I, look up the word read means go back, source the original, right? So what is the original? The original is who gave you the plan, who designed the plan for you. Even when it comes to that, God strategically put the people in place that I need. God, make sure that I'm connecting with the right people, that they're just not trying to get their vision fulfilled, but they can fulfill mine as well.
Amen to
and
that.
so with that being said, that is the plan. Once you get it, draft that vision, the mission, and then start to identify those systems, those structures, and the resources you need to get there.
I love that. I love that. And especially, like you said, praying to God to bring to you and magnetize to you the people who are meant to be there.
Exactly.
Not just the people who are trying to be, the moochers and leech off of you and suck your energy dry, getting what they want. But you want the people who really, again, like a Peggy Morris in my life, right? Who supported me and truly went out of her way to help me be successful when I didn't know what entrepreneurial success looked like when I first started. I had no clue. That's not the background I came from. I came from an environment of surviving, not thriving, not succeeding, not soaring. I know none of those words. It was like, look, can we eat tomorrow?
Right.
Literally from that environment. So to have someone like her to come to be sent to me, literally, I believe she was divinely appointed to me to be able to see greatness in me and to help push me and encourage me, even when I just didn't see that greatness in myself at the time. So I think that's so powerful. And remembering not to isolate yourself.
Yes.
Isolation, like the devil uses isolation because he'll make you feel like you don't have access to the resources. Oh, the people don't want to support you. You can't. You have to focus, speak positive, focus on positive, and pray to God for the right resources to be sent to you. And I believe that will manifest. Absolutely will manifest. And so we're talking about the systems and the resources and the structures. Is there one or two systems or structures that you can just kind of focus on or highlight that you would emphasize for someone to implement? We talked about, allowing the vision to be downloaded through meditation, through quiet time. And a lot of us don't know how to get quiet. We need to get quiet. It's okay. I know we're in a fast-paced world and things are moving at 150 miles per hour, but sometimes you need to pull back and get quiet. But are there specific structures or systems, one or two, that you can talk about? And then I want to talk about the spirit of competition.
Yes.
And comparison.
Yes. So when I think about structure, I think about the process. So what is the process? Like a linear, strategic, step-by-step process that you're going to do to accomplish a task or a goal. So, for example, I think of most recently, even today, working with a group of clients that I walked into today, and they're actually all established a certain goal. So as an educator, I was working with the team at a school, and they had we went through a coaching conversation, and they had all established a goal. Okay, so this is the goal. As a teacher, I am. As a teacher, I am not. As a teacher, I will. Now, if you're going to do this and you see yourself doing it, what are the steps that we're going to take? So that's the structure, that's the process. Right. What are the steps we're going to take for you to get there? So the first step was, I want you to come into my classroom so that you can observe me and see how I am already acting in this goal. So then you can provide me an action step so that I can assess and adjust. So going into the classroom, helping them. And now that I've seen them in action, now this is the next step that I need you to take in this process. And so really that's what a structure is. It's putting some processes in place so that you can get to what that goal is. If you don't have those steps to get there, you'll never get there.
Yeah. What's the saying? If you fail to plan, you plan
to fail.
So you're right. There has to be some structure, some thought process to it. But talk about this as well, though. So even when you put things into place, talk about the importance of flexibility versus being rigid.
Exactly. And so that goes back to what we just said about assessing and adjusting, because so many times we want to get things right the first time.
Yeah.
Or we just want to, like you say, stay exactly what it is. But no, you have to look at it and say, this is what I always say. What is working well? and what do I need to change to make it better. So when that's how you look at it and you get out of that being rigid and you're more flexible, because if it's not working, then why do I keep doing it? Because if it's not working, I'm going to get those results that produces what's not working.
Absolutely. And my question for the year is, what no longer serves me well?
Exactly.
What no longer serves me well towards this goal, working towards this goal? What no longer serves me well in this relationship? What no longer serves me well in this business? What no longer serves me well with this weight loss regimen I'm on? Whatever it is.
Yes.
What no longer serves me well? And honey, I'm abandoning and divorcing that thing. And I'm going to attach myself to the things that serve me well now, based on the woman I am now, based on the season I'm in right now, because things do adjust and things change. And you have to be willing to be flexible and adjust and change with it. Like you said, somebody typed that in there. Karan, thank you, said, yeah, it's all about your assessment and your adjustments. Assessment and adjustment. I like it. The two A's. We're going to keep making sure that we keep that at the top of our minds. So as we kind of start wrapping up, I feel like a big part of why and purpose is making sure that you stay laser focused on what God has for you.
Exactly.
And there's so many people who have the scarcity mindset and belief that, oh, that should have been mine. They're looking at somebody else. They're comparing themselves. And there's a quote that says, comparison is the thief of all joy.
Yes.
And it's like people are allowing their joy to be robbed because they're so focused, laser focused on somebody else's journey instead of their own journey. Talk about what you've seen in the marketplace, especially with Facebook. Everybody a superstar on Facebook. Everybody got it going on. Everybody it's lies. Y'all know what I'm saying. Lies, right? But talk about the importance of staying laser focused on what God has for you and not comparing and competing.
So I say this all the time, that people see a product, but they don't know the process.
Yes.
And so be careful of the product, because there was a process to get there, and you don't know if the product is reflecting the real process.
Right.
And so with that being said, Cheryl, what you said, oh my goodness, I think it was around November, December, I had so many women reaching out to me about different things. And I had even shared with my husband, I said, these women are not focused on themselves. Yes. They're looking at everybody else to try to make their marriage look right, or try to make their life look right, or their children. And it's driving these women crazy. Yeah. And I said, and I honestly, I went into a praying and interceding, not just for them, but for a lot of people, because I even think about myself when I first started, of how I started to look at things, and it started to get me distracted and off focus. And literally, Cheryl, I want to just share this, because when you get off focus, God will realign you back to your plan. You can get off focus if you want to, but he will, because in September, well, actually in July, I was told that I had 45 days before my job ended. And so with that being said, I had to, again, grow up really quick and think about what is really going to happen now for me. And so I started to weep. And I didn't cry because I was worried about what I was going to eat or live or things of that nature. Because one, I know God will supply my needs, but also I had too many friends to be broke or homeless.
Well, come on now.
So, if I come to you, you can't help me, then I'm going to keep it 100. You're really not my friend, right? So with that being said.
She just said a word right there.
So with that being said, I had to realize, Tashika, you're off focus. You're looking at other stuff, and you're not looking at what you were originally designed and supposed to be. And God had to wake you up and realign your whole life, your whole life back up to what he called you and chosen you to do. And so with that being said, I just tell people all the time, just look at you and what you're becoming. Nobody else is, you haven't seen anybody else do what you do.
Absolutely.
You're only one. You are designed, crafted, a masterpiece, of no replication of what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
You walk in what you're supposed to do. You do it with power, with confidence, authority, and a sound mind, and just do it. And continue to put yourself in spaces with people that's going to encourage you and inspire you, which is breathe life into you, like a Peggy Morris, like a Cheryl would, to help you to get there. I'm telling you, and stop being on Facebook all day long, or Facebook, like you said.
First of all, you should be out making some money.
Exactly,
if
make
you say
some
you got a
money.
Business, you got to do some revenue generating activities.
Exactly, because if you just scrolling all day, it's going to contaminate your mind and engulf your thoughts, and you're not going to be able to become, because you should be home working on your vision, mission, your system, structures, and resources, and then go and get the work done. And then once you get the work done, then the money going to be put in the bank, right?
Come on.
It all works together.
Exactly.
It all works together for the good of them that loves the Lord and are called according to his purpose.
I love it. I mean, I couldn't have worded that any better myself. It's truth. all of you, every one of you who's watching, those of you who will watch the replay, those of you on Facebook Live who are here through voxwave.com, you are enough just as
yes,
you are.
You are
like
enough.
You already have the stamp of approval. Like you came
yes.
God approved.
Yes.
Already.
Yes.
You ain't got to wait on nobody
Somebody put
else.
that on Facebook.
Come on, hashtag
you can't
God
stamp
approved,
God approved.
right? You already stamped God approved. You don't
yes.
need anybody else's validation, their permission, their approval to say get started, to say, oh, your purpose is important. Like that's in you.
Exactly.
And when you allow God to download that to you in your quiet time, getting off of Facebook, getting off of social media, allowing yourself to really be quiet and allow him to let you know what's the next step, what's the next move, what are you supposed to be doing, how are you meant to touch the world, how are you meant to, every one of us has a unique fingerprint. I have a twin sister. I'm a twin. My sister and I, we were in the same sack together, and we're 2 minutes apart, and we still have different fingerprints. So even twins have different fingerprints. All of us have a unique fingerprint. You were meant to touch the world in a unique way that nobody else can do it. Doesn't matter how many people doing what you do. Doesn't matter how many people doing something similar to what you do. There's enough for you, and there's space for you, and it is uniquely, there's a segment of the population uniquely and specifically designed for you to touch their lives. And like Dr. Tashika said earlier, they will not be touched. They will not be impacted. They will not move forward until you take action.
Exactly.
So until you, what was it saying? Because I don't want to mess it up. Until you cross the finish, they're not going to do their start, something like that.
Until you finish, they can't start.
Come on now, right there, that right there. Until you finish, they can't start. So that means you got to get started so you can cross the finish line so that you can help somebody else.
Exactly.
So I love the conversation.
Thank you.
You can come back anytime. You can come back anytime. If you talking about motivation, inspiration, purpose, and money, you can come back anytime to this show right here. Tell people how they can get in touch with you, if they want to work with you, if they just want to learn more about you or connect through social media, all the ways that they can connect with you.
Sure. So if you want to learn more about me, you can definitely visit my website. That's www.seasonswiththeS.com. I'm on Facebook, Tashika Green, and I'm on Twitter and Instagram at 2eSeasons, and LinkedIn at Dr. Tashika L. Green. So please do whatever you need as far as helping you with your, I always say your what, your why, and how. You reach out to me. I can turn your dreams into a reality.
Yes, and she is Google-delicious. So you can Google her if you missed any of that, but we'll also have this up on our YouTube channel so that you can make sure that you have all the ways to connect with her. Your energy is beautiful.
Thank you.
It's amazing. I love how God is working through you to impact the lives of other women. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much to Dee Bowden for being here with us, talking about our money, making sure it makes it to the account. Guys, we will be here again next Wednesday, same time, same place, 12 p.m. Until then, keep using your unique fingerprint to impact the world in the biggest way possible. See you next Wednesday.
Thank you. Wonderful.
We have powerful words. We have powerful minds. We use our voices and freedom takes flight. And we're ready to work. We're ready to win. We have a strategy and now we can begin. We are standing bolder. Shoulder to shoulder, playtime is over. Playtime is over. Now you are a champion. God is my witness. Imperfect perfection, living my mission and winning. See, we are influencers. We have fear, but don't stop. I have the confidence to rise to the top. We are standing bolder, shoulder to shoulder. Playtime is over.